gonna step on my ladder so you guys can see me a little bit. I'm sorry guys if you can hear that wind in the background. That's just Oklahoma wind. It's crazy right now. So Hayes is down for a nap. That's when I get my work done. I faux German schmeared this fireplace. Before I had whitewashed it, it was like a tan brown colored brick, and whoever designed this house really loved browns and tans, and that is just not me. I like whites and grays and light colors that I can mix in my mint colors with, and my fun pop of colors and everything, greenery and whatnot. So I whitewashed it with Sloan. I used old white, the same color, and it's a completely different technique. It's actually less time consuming, it seems like, to whitewash because you're using a bigger brush and you're not basically trying to paint with a palette knife. But beside the point, I loved it. I just wanted something different. It was time for me to get something different. I love the German schmear look. Yes, my brick is not red, so keep that in mind if you're going to do this. It also matters, the end result matters what your brick currently looks like. So if you have that fun red brick, it looks awesome. German schmear looks awesome over the top of that. This is more gray tone, so it's kind of like a mix of German schmear and a lime wash, which I love lime washing too. So, but if you have like an orange brick, or you know, there's other colors of bricks. So just remember that's what you're gonna have peeking through down here. And it's that bright contrast that makes that German schmear look so good with this white and the red or gray or whatever you're using. So anyways, all I am using, I kind of tested down at the bottom and then I worked my way up last night, and I stopped. It probably took me about 3 hours, but in the middle of that I was trying to figure out my technique and also talking on a video with you guys. So that takes me a little bit longer too whenever I'm doing stuff instead of just jumping into it. But I highly recommend you play, whether you do it at the bottom or on a corner somewhere in your fireplace that's, you know, you decorate a lot or can be disguised. But I really just use 3 products is all I'm using, and I taped off around it. I'm using Sloan's stencil brush. You can use another brush, but I really love it because I'm painting this grout basically. And then I am using a plastic cheap palette knife, and it's just a plastic knife. I highly recommend this over a metal knife because when you're doing metal on top of brick, that is the worst ear scratching noise. So, and then I'm using Sloan Old White. You can use original, you can use pure white, you can use any of the whites. It doesn't really matter. You're gonna get the same result basically. And all I am doing, and I'm gonna show you guys, I have video of doing this down here too. If I can get this up first. What I'm gonna do is I got my lid off. I'm gonna put an apron on because I'm super messy, and roll up my sleeves. The paint is pretty thick. So the way German schmear is, basically a real German schmear, is they're filling in these grout lines with grout or a compound type deal. And then they're wiping back what they filled in on top of the brick. So they're wiping back the brick to show through. And there's different variances. If you get on Pinterest, which is what caused this, you can see all kinds of different heavier techniques, less heavy where the brick's showing through. So get on there, find you a picture that you really like and you love, and it could represent what you could have, like the color of your brick and everything. And keep that with you as you're going, because you can always add more paint to it. You cannot take away as well as what you can add to it. So you can go with a lighter technique, and then if you think you need more, by all means add to it and make it thick and rich. And I wanted mine heavier. I wanted that white to really pop because we got a lot of tans, dark browns and stuff in our house, and I wanted that white contrast. So I'm going to start, and I'm just getting, it's dry. So when you wash, you're doing it with water. You're mixing your consistency with water. But on this, you want it real thick and less watery. You want it as thick as you can. Like, even if the paint is pretty watery when you start, you can leave the lid off of it overnight or for a day and let that paint really start to thicken and dry out, or stick it in the fridge for an hour or two and let it really start to thicken. That's what I love so much about Annie's paint, is that it can thicken or thin with water, and that can actually build texture. So I'm not using anything else by Annie Sloan. So there are some tutorials online, and you can totally go with this method if you want. It's totally up to you how you want to do your German Schmear. But some mix like just your cheap wall paint, white wall paint with a joint compound and slap it on that way. I didn't really want to do that because I'm indoors and I have the ugliest carpet ever down here. So for me to be like having a trowel and smushing it around and possibly getting it on our carpet, my husband would probably murder me. So we just did it this method, and it's less messy to me. I'm not having to really wipe back what I'm doing over the top of stuff. I'm just basically painting my brick just a little bit differently. So I'm gonna really make sure I get that white in the grout. Okay, now I'm gonna take my palette knife, and I'm just getting a good goop out of there. And I'm gonna look also, I want some of this darker showing through to contrast. So some of these lighter brick I'm gonna cover up pretty good. I'll let some of them show through, of course, like I've been doing, but some of them I would like them, these darker points to show and contrast pretty good. And it's just a play. It's honestly, you just play with it, and you can add as you go. If you need a little bit heavier paint here, you can add more paint here, you know, just, you really play with it and learn your technique of what you like in your style. Because this may not be your style. You may like the less painted or less covered brick look. And you're starting from the grout and working your way in, basically, because that's how they do it with the Schmear, the authentic Schmear. I like that one. And where I want a little, like, some of these bricks I completely covered with white. So all I did was, instead of trying to save my sanity with painting a full brick with just a flat palette brush, I just took a big goop of paint and I went real heavy on it, and I painted it pretty good, pretty good coverage, and I kind of just slapped it on. I wasn't real particular. and I just kind of took some paint and I went back over it just to kind of keep it that same texture. Because what the German Schmear does is it fills in all these grooves of the brick that you have. So you kind of want to keep that same look if you can. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. And you could totally add joint compound to this too to make it even thicker. I just thought I don't like adding more stuff to her paint when it does it already. So, and I didn't know if I would have to seal the joint compound on top of the brick. So if I need to put like a clear sealer on top of it. So I just kind of went with this method. And as this dries up here, I'm gonna go back on top and kind of scrape and smooth out. I might even take my brush and kind of smooth out any like streaks or whatever I may have sitting on top. And that's basically it. I mean, if I don't like, if this has too much brick showing, I'll go back in and add a little bit more as it's drying or as it's dried. I'll step back is another important tip. Step down, step back, look at it, step all the way across the room and look at it if you need to. That's the best thing, because when you're up close and on top of it all the time looking, you can drive yourself nuts thinking that it's not perfect or you need it to look a certain way. And it may already be that way. So that's called overworking. So step down and step back and take a look a lot. I did that a lot last night because I was like so questioning myself as I was doing this, but I love how it turned out. I woke up this morning and I sat down and I drank my coffee right here. Okay, I'm just gonna start speeding through this now. So guys, just stay tuned if you need to, and I'll show you the end result as we're done. You get done. Guys, that's it. It took me maybe an hour or so to finish the top part. I'd stepped back a few times and I came back and I touched up some of the areas with my paintbrush. Really simple. I think now I'm gonna look for a more rustic mantle and pop it on top of this one and call it good. That may be a while, but I'm gonna let this paint dry real good, probably about 15 or 20 minutes. It should be dried, and then I'll start decorating for Christmas. So I'll link everything that I used below in the comments. Really, I used 3 products, and that was about it. Tape, I guess I didn't mention that one, but be sure to follow along. I'm gonna keep doing more tutorials, like I said in my last one, with the fence paneling. I'm doing a paint room, so I'm gonna have a lot more tutorials. So follow along, subscribe, and then join us on our VIP group on Facebook. I post a lot of DIYs, refinished furniture, of course home decor, and inspiration to do your home too. So anyways, you guys, hi. You guys have a nice day, and thank you for watching. Can you tell them? Can you tell them thank you for watching? Huh? He's like, where's it at? Yeah.